Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making. And today I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways to use the same stamp out of the same stamp set. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off by creating a stripy background for this one, because the first one we're just going to be heat embossing. And then the next ones will kind of be done in conjunction. All of the 3 cards that I do today will be assembled towards the end. But yeah, so I'm just giving you 3 different ideas on how to do these stamps. And again, right now I'm just building up a background, and we're going to heat emboss on this after. So I will just speed through this with some music and get back to you when I'm done. Okay, now that that's done and I've trimmed my panel down to 5 by 3 3/4, I'm going to start by trimming the card base a little. I do make my own card bases, as I've mentioned before, so sometimes they're not 100% perfect, so I'll just trim them as I get to them. And we're going to stamp directly onto this background. The background will act as the coloring, in a sense, for our stamped image. And I'm just using this guide from Simon Says Stamp. It's just like an acetate sheet with some lines on it. I could have taped it in the middle so it'd be a little bit easier, but now that, you know, there's that 1/2 inch missing, the middle line is not the middle line anymore, which is something you have to remember when you're doing it this way. It's easier for you, I would like tape it centered on that, so that you don't have to try to figure it out. But I generally just use the guides and be like, okay, it's 3 squares from the left and 3 squares from the right. It's centered. We're good to go. But that's how I do it. And we're going to use some clear embossing ink and some white embossing powder. And then we're going to heat set that with my heating tool from the back, as always, because that always gives you smoother results than doing it from the front, because it doesn't blow away any of the embossing powder. And once that's done, we're gonna let it cool down a little bit. Probably not a good idea to do this on your Misty, by the way. It didn't harm it, but not recommended. So I'm just cooling it down, and this is optional, but I added a bit of cool gray marker in C2 to Santa's hat, gloves, and his sleeve, as well as the ornaments and the tree base. It just kind of differentiates things a little bit. And once I'm done that, I'm also going to use my glitter gel pen to color in the like fur portions of Santa's outfit, as well as the ornaments and the ring around the tree skirt at the bottom, which is what I'm doing right now. This just adds a little bit of sparkle. If you wanted to, you could probably color all of this in different shades of gray. That might look nice. But the, premise of this is not having to color at all. And we're just using, our stripy background or any kind of pattern that's not too busy. You want to keep it fairly simple so that you're not losing the detail in the stamp, which is why I used these 1/2 inch wide strips that I had left over. And I did have to cut a couple of extra red ones just because I was low on those. But other than that, I had everything all ready to go because I've done similar cards for this last year. And I'm just using up what's left over. So right now, for the other 2 methods, I stamped one of my images, I think, in jellyfish ink from Lawn Fawn, and the other one I'm stamping in the black licorice. And I'm just gonna color these in. Obviously, This one's fairly simple, very straightforward. I'm going to color it like I do any other stamped image. And once I get to the second one, I will come back and talk to you about that one a bit. But in the meantime, I will play some music. Okay, so now that that one's done, I'm going to do this other one the exact same way. There's just an extra step. You'll also notice in the last one that I didn't color in the ornaments. I hate coloring around those ornaments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color them in red later, and then I'm just going to put little like half pearls on them just to cover them. They actually fit perfectly in this space. And on the one I'm working on now, I'm going to end up doing the same, but with silver confetti. But what I'm doing right now is I'm taking fine liners in the colors that I are going to coordinate with the colors that I'm using on the image. I'm going to, again, be coloring this the exact same way as the other one. So anything in red, I'm like outlining in red. Anything in green is going to be in green. Anything in gray, sorry, anything in white gets outlined with a gray, etc. And then I'm going to color this image in. It's a very like subtle look. It's somewhat no line, even though there is lines. But it just gives you like a softer look than the black images. And then the one that I did color with the black outlines, I will restamp the image like I always do, but I will not be doing that for this what I'm calling no line coloring option, because I did the lines myself. It's a fairly easy technique, but if you're not confident with your lines, or you're worried that they're going to be, you know, too wobbly or whatever, like mine, top of the tree here looks a little bit funny at the end, but it doesn't matter to me. I try to trace as best I can, but you know, you're not going to get the smooth results you do from a stamp, but that's part of the charm of this. It just like adds a little bit more character, and it just gives it like a different look than, you know, normal stamping. So for now, I'll just play some music again and get back to you when these are done. Okay, so now that we're all done, those are the two different images. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference between the one that's been stamped in black and the one that we outlined with these fine liners, which are just from the dollar store. They're like the Dollarama Studio brand. They work great with alcohol markers. They don't bleed or anything, so just pick up yourself some like felt tip markers and try them out before you do any of your coloring, just in case. But yeah, these are pretty safe with alcohol markers, and I've done this technique before, probably not on this channel. I thought I did at one point, but I didn't, and you know, I'll do it again in the future for sure. I've used this stamp on so many cards, like at least probably 20 over the years or more. I did 7 of these at one point for coworkers of mine, and I did them a mixture of doing it stamped with black and doing the outlines, and then I changed up and did like Z-fold cards and window cards and regular cards and that I made like 7 different options so that everybody got a similar card but not the exact same. I don't generally like to mass produce the exact same card. It becomes very tedious and boring for me. So doing, just little changes between cards works best. I have mass produced cards in the past and it just becomes an assembly, like automatic kind of thing. And I just, not into it. But here I am assembling the cards finally. For that first one, I just added some foam tape to the background. I do add sentiments to these first 2 cards, but I do it off camera afterwards, so you could just look at the photos at the end of the video. For the second one, I used that Mama Elephant quilted background die again, because as always, I love this die. It just adds that little bit of texture in the background that you need, and then you don't have to do anything else to it. I'm just going to add the little Santa here. And then I think I add the confetti bits. These are silver confetti bits. They're from Studio Katya. I'll link somebody else's on here. But I'm just using the biggest size, and you can somewhat see those ornament shapes still in the background. Like the gray still shows up even through the marker like a little bit. But it's not noticeable. And again, we're covering these with sequins anyway. And I'm going to add an extra one at the bottom there because I find that the bottom right is a little like empty. So I'm going to add one there. This one, I don't think I add one in the top right corner where there was one originally, just because the scan and cut, like it was too light for it to cut around that area anyway. And don't think it really needed it at the top. For this other one, I will add the red baubles to it, but I'm trying to, figure out layout, and I want to do something a little bit different with this one. So I'm going to add Santa to the bottom right corner, and I'm using this paper pad. I don't remember what it's from, but I'll link it down in the description below if it's still available. I got it from Simon Says Stamps last Christmas, and I might have used it for like 1 or 2 cards, but just trying to figure out backgrounds for this. I ended up with this one with all the words on it. It's like peace, joy, hope, and a few other sentiments, and I'm just going to use this for the background. Actually, I think this is my favorite of the 3 cards. It's just like very simple, but it's like busy, but it's, it's easy to put together. I thought I would like back this with a bit of black just to like make it pop a lot better, and I really liked the way that looked. And then I end up adding Santa with a little bit of foam tape down in the bottom right corner instead of centering him like I did the last 2 cards. And right now I'm just trimming the black. I like to, when I mat panels, just, add them to a slightly bigger panel and then cut them down from there. That way I'm cutting it flush with the panel that I've already cut. And I just use that plastic guide on my guillotine trimmer as the like margin for my borders most of the time. And this is me just gluing it down. Again, a very simple card. I was just going to glue this down, but I think it needed that little bit of dimension just to help it pop off the card. So I'm adding a little bit more foam tape. And because these images are a bit bigger, I try to cover as much space as possible. If they're smaller, I don't really care as much, but this one I don't want it to get crushed in either the mail or whatever, depending on where this is going. We'll see at Christmas time. But then I'm going to add those red half pearls that I used in the last video. So again, I'll link those down below, but I'm using the biggest size because they're the ones that fit perfectly in these circles. And then there's one at the top right corner that's like kind of like cut in half in the image, but I just like put a full one down. I'm not going to try to cut this in half to make it fit there. It's not a big deal. And then I'm going to also add an extra one in that bottom right empty spot. But that's pretty much our cards for today, guys. So this is 3 different ways to use the same stamp, so you can change it up for your recipients. Let me know what your thoughts are. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment down below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And until next time, thanks guys. Bye.